2, 1. Welcome to this segment of Countdown to Tiger Kickoff as we visit with the head coach of the East Texas Baptist University Tigers, Mark Sartain, prior to the kickoff in Abilene as ETBU faces Hardin-Simmons. Last Saturday evening at Ornella Stadium, the Tigers lost to nationally ranked Louisiana College 29-17, and in that ball game it got very interesting toward the end in the fourth quarter when Tiger quarterback Seth Hubbard hit Roy Denbo in the end zone to come within 5 points. And Coach, this was a game where a lot of people in the stands, and as I was broadcasting the game, it was apparent the Tigers were out to win. Unfortunately, it didn't happen that way, but from the very last ticket, it just appeared that the Tigers possibly could come back.
Well, we felt like we fought hard the entire ball game. We really believed that, our motto going into the game was let's put four together. You know, we've had a good half, we've had good quarters, but we've not yet this year put four consistent, highly competitive quarters together. We felt like we did that the other night, and we put ourselves in a position to win the football game, but just, came up a little bit short. But we're proud of the effort the kids put forth.
You had some good performances from your players in that ball game. One is Dominic Bailey had 2 interceptions against Tim Curry, their starting quarterback who played his high school football in East Texas, Legion Fields. You kind of wish that they maybe had kept him in the ball game a bit longer and get another pick.
Well, they've got an interesting situation there at quarterback. It was either Curry or it was a returning senior starter. So, we were prepared for both quarterbacks. We anticipated that Curry would be the starter based on what had happened the week before. So we were well prepared for him, and they didn't change what they were doing any great deal when they brought the other young man in. So it really didn't change the game plan for us.
Other defensive players that kind of caught the coach's eye for their performances in the loss to Louisiana College.
Well, a couple of Dylans. Dylan Binge was our leading tackler for the week, inside linebacker from Godley, and then Dylan Maxwell. Defensive end had his best game to date, recorded 7 or 8 tackles, which from that position is quite a few tackles, and just played an overall very good ball game for us.
Now on offense, one of your running backs, John Gable, 18 carries, 73 yards. That's a good output for him.
Well, it's his best to date, and it wasn't just statistically his best. He was doing some things really well, and has improved in some areas that we really were hoping he would.
All right, we talked about last week's game that ETBU had against Louisiana College. Let's move on to a segment that we have each week on Countdown to Tiger Kickoff, where we allow the head coach of the Tigers, Mark Sartain, to highlight a member of his coaching staff and also talk about 2 players who have connections to East Texas where they play their high school football. First, Coach, let's talk about one of your coaches on your staff. Who would you like to highlight this week?
Well, Coach Devin Phillips coaches our strong safeties. Devin is in his second year with us here, and has been elevated up on the staff as a pure position coach. Does a great job for us. Comes to us from Avila University in Kansas, and Devin's got a unique background. He's an older young coach, if you know what I mean. He's older in years, but his coaching experience is not as extensive as others his age, but he's a tenacious worker, does a great job assisting Coach Pippin in preparation for the defensive game plan, does a lot of things for me in the logistics of the office activities, and Devin's been a very valuable asset to our staff since he's been here.
Now, you mentioned he's an older coach with young coaching experience. He started out in a career in golf, if I'm remembering correctly.
Right. He pursued a career in golf out of school, and that took him several years around the horn, and then realized his passion and his dream was to coach, and we're very fortunate and happy to have him pursuing that dream here with us. Now,
last year when the Tigers had the charity golf tournament, you didn't put Coach Phillips on your team, did you?
I don't generally play in that tournament. I'm a golfer only when I have to be.
All right. We've been highlighting Coach Devin Phillips. Now let's move to some players on your roster. They have East Texas backgrounds when they played high school. And I noticed the last couple of shows on Countdown Tiger Kickoff, the player that you have named has usually had a good game. Dominic Bailey, you talked about last week, and he has 2 interceptions. And the week before that was Roy Denbo, who had his career game as a Tiger, as a receiver. So I kind of looking forward to who we're going to highlight this week, and then expect a great game against Hardin-Simmons on Saturday.
Well, that sounds like a winner to me. Can I pick about 8 or 9 more.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Talk about half the roster here. We'll talk today about Roy Butler. Roy's a sophomore wide receiver and return specialist for us from Liberty ILO in Texarkana. I call him Toy Roy. Roy's one of our mighty might inside receivers. Was a tremendous powerlifting champion in high school. A very quick, explosive young man with a ball in his hands. Done a good job for us at wide receiver, backing up Kwame Spikes. But Roy does a great job in the special teams for us. He covers punts for us. He returns kicks for us. And Roy's a young man you love seeing him come in the office. He's always got a smile. He's always got something positive to say. And we're excited about him. He's still young in our program. Got a lot of promise. And the other young man we'll talk about is an older guy. Been around for 4 years now. Colin Pigskin, our starting strong safety from Baytown, Texas. We'll consider that southeast Texas. But Colin, is in his senior season with us. Started a lot of games for us. Is an incredible football player. I've shouldered him with the mantle of one of the best football players I've ever coached, pound for pound, and put the pressure on him with that label, and he's lived up to that every week, and I just love watching him play. He's a tremendous worker. He's a tremendous leader for our football team, highly respected. You'd like to have about 20, 25 of those guys standing around out there to use at different positions, and he's always just a silent soldier that just gets it done and gets it done every time.
Coach, thank you for highlighting 2 of your players with East Texas backgrounds from their high school days and with your coaching staff. Now let's move to the game that's at hand against Hardin-Simmons University, an American Southwest Conference contest. Last week, the Cowboys defeated Howard Payne 56-10. They're on a 3-game winning streak, and it's homecoming from the day. But I know the Tigers would like to end all those streaks.
Yeah, we'd really like to swap streaks with them Saturday. That's our objective.
And a good objective is that. I remember when Hardin-Simmons started their football program back up. It was living in Tyler at the time, and they kind of had some teams back in the 40s and 50s, and like ETBU started out with football and then came back. And Hardin-Simmons is a well-known Division III football team in America, isn't it?
Sure. At one point in the 90s, they were the winningest team in Division III for a 10-year span, and the coach Jimmy Keeling started that program when they brought it back, and just they were the perennial champions. UMHB kind of nudged their way into that mix, and in the last few years they've taken control of that. But Hardin-Simmons has always been a nationally renowned Division III football program.
Tell us a little about your opponent you're facing against Hardin-Simmons.
Well, they're a different look, Hardin-Simmons. They're a lot similar in their offensive style to what we remember seeing back in their heyday. They're throwing it around all over the place. A lot of skill guys, big offensive linemen, big tough guys. They got a quarterback transferred in that's really gotten comfortable in their offense. Had some larger classifications experience behind him. Defensively, they've become a very aggressive, very tenacious, high voltage kind of defensive scheme. Their guys play extremely hard. They fly around and make things happen. It's a little different look on defense for them, but a lot similar on offense. But it's still that Hardin-Simmons blue and gold, and they play some pretty good football.
Coach Sartain, thank you for your time, and best to the Tigers.
Thanks, Mike.
That concludes this segment of Countdown to Tiger Kickoff with head coach Mark Sartain. Stay tuned. NCAA Division III football, American Southwest Conference style, coming up between East Texas Baptist University and Hardin-Simmons.